Hello and welcome back. It is hump day. It is Wednesday. I have some pretty exciting news and just like some things that I want to share with you, but we'll get into that at the end because there is so much to get into that has happened in only the last 48 hours from when I saw you last on Monday. There's a lot to get into in the court dockets. The content creators are fighting back, as well as just what's happening in the headlines. And I think that's where I want to start because let's just get into it because it's something going on. Fishy, weird. Let's just talk about it, okay? Grab your emotional support lip gloss because we are getting into it. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. I really didn't know where I was going to start this video today because I thought it was just going to be on all the court dockets and all the letters and motions that have been filed, which we will get into. But then I started just, doing a little bit of Google search and seeing some headlines and some articles that have come out. And it really got me thinking about a few things. So still I'm here wondering how to start this, where to go from here. And I guess I'll just start with this first article that was published that really boiled my blood. And it's this one written by Us Weekly. Blake Lively drops her investigation into 3 YouTubers who covered the Justin Baldoni battle. Exclusive. Now, we already know that she's dropped subpoenas against anyone who has come into the court. Anybody who filed a motion to quash, Blake Lively withdrew the subpoena. She's withdrawn more subpoenas as they go. It seems like it was just a fishing expedition. It was to bully and silence content creators and agree to disagree. But that's simply what it was, because if you really thought there was stuff there, why withdraw the subpoena? It's probably because people are asking for sanctions and they're also asking you to pay the legal fees and everything along with this because it is absolutely barbaric. However, what really got me was this one line in the article, and then we'll go over, of course, Blake Lively's people who are talking to Us Weekly. They're also making statements. So if they are allowed to talk to press and journalists and make statements, why can't the Wayfair people? It's a little bit weird, right? It's a little bit hypocritical, if you will. The article talks about how Blake Lively subpoenaed 3 YouTube content creators and then withdrew the subpoenas, which makes sense, right? But this little sentence right here is what really just tickled my fancy in a way, if you will. And this is what they said about the content creators. According to court documents obtained by Us, on July 26th, Lively, 37, informed the court of her decision days after the YouTube creators begged the court for help. Did they beg the court for help, or do they have a right to file motions to quash? Did they beg the courts for help, or do they have a right to stand up for themselves in the proper forum, which is in the courts? Did they beg, really, or were they just exercising their right to defend themselves against a bully, against someone who's doing this with no evidence, that is overly burdensome? It's an infringement of speech. It's all of the things. So to just that one line, I don't know about y'all, but sometimes when I just read something and I just notice the way it's worded, it just grosses me out. And to say that the YouTube content creators beg the court for help instead of actually use their rights to defend themselves, to me is tacky. But Blake Lively's people, of course, they have things to say to Us Weekly. They've been doing it. They've been talking to publications. And Blake Lively's team said, or a rep for Lively told Us, subpoenas are not accusations of wrongdoing. They are tools for gathering admissible evidence in federal court. There is no silencing of content creators. They are obviously making their views known. This is a sexual harassment and retaliation lawsuit against Justin Baldoni and a number of other Wayfair defendants, and we are simply seeking information to aid in our fact gathering. Well, the fact that you still don't have any evidence to support this delusional theory is all I need to know. Because everything that you're asking from the content creators, you should have been able to get from the Wayfair people. That's how it works. It's absolutely bonkers. And the source for Lively, the person from Lively, also continues by saying, remember Baldoni's crisis PR rep's own words to shield Justin Baldoni from the possibility that Blake Lively might publicly reveal he sexually harassed her and others. What are we talking about? Show me those texts. Like, it's just, they didn't know how far your crazy was going to go since you took over the edit, had people fired, had people removed, held Taylor Swift over people's heads. I mean, we can go on, but it just feels like I'm just repeating it because if you know, and you read it. So it's like, oh my God. Baldoni's rep planned an untraceable media campaign designed to bury Miss Lively, the rep added. The subpoenas to social media companies? Yeah, maybe Perez Hilton is a company. Maybe Candace Owens is a company. Popcorn Planet is a company. But the independent content creators, some of whom had less than 100 subscribers, please, okay? Nope. The subpoenas to social media companies are one piece of the puzzle to connect the evidentiary dots of a campaign that was designed to leave no fingerprints. So interesting that it was designed to be untraceable with no fingerprints when Megan Twohey said that after going over thousands of pages of text messages, she was able to connect the dots. She found it. She found the untraceable smear campaign. I mean, to go all of this way and still not have any evidence to support your claims? Buddy, what? News Nation had a very interesting article come out as well, and the title kind of rings true to what we're all feeling and what is exactly happening, and that is desperate and narcissistic Blake Lively coming after us, content creators. And this does quote content creators directly, which is great that they're actually giving more content creators a voice to talk about what is going on. But it does say that, it talks about Mackenzie Folks, who had less than 2,000 subscribers or now has 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, as well as Lynette Keshishian, who does @SweetAndSaltyLynn, which is really good because I just watched one of her videos and I believe she said that her subpoena has been withdrawn as well. But she quotes, and I quote back from her, she points out in several posts that Baldoni's case against Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, was thrown out because you can't sue for hurt feelings. So why is Big Bird Blake coming after us? Whose feelings are hurt? Lynn asks. Like facts. Which brings me to this article, which I thought was just, what are they doing? The timing is so horrible. They really do not understand PR. Maximum effort, all you want. He doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. This is absolutely, like, did they think it was just going to fly over our heads? Everything is a move here. They literally use people like chess pieces to get around the board. It is so crazy, and I'll tie it in a second. But in this article, which is like so cray-cray, it was published on July 30th, today. This is from Fandom Wire, and it says, Blake Lively wants to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow. Their relationship survived It Ends With Us drama. First of all, the It Ends With Us drama isn't done yet. The court date isn't until March, okay? March 2026, babes, okay? So what are you talking about? You survived the drama. But some of the quotes that Blake says in this, it's weird and it's bizarre. But yeah, she wants to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow. Funny how she's now using Gwyneth Paltrow's name after this came out this week. That Ryan Reynolds' maximum effort agency turned Astronomer's viral moment into marketing gold. So if you don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow came out this week and did she was like a spokesperson and tried to do this like funny, quirky, like question and answer thing for Astronomers. All of their drama with their CEO who was caught cheating at the Coldplay concert. Now that CEO has been removed, suspended, fired, left, whatever the case is. But, Astronomer, who had nobody really what was going on, they kind of blew up. They were getting obviously a lot of backlash. So they hired Gwyneth Paltrow to do this little cheeky little interview. But, Ryan just can't let it go. He needs to take it where he can take it and make sure everyone knows what he's behind, who he has in his pockets, who he's paying, what he's doing. And that's why I think this is so gross, because what a move. This is clearly a chess piece move. This is clearly like a game to them, because why would you say, okay, just a few days ago that Ryan Reynolds' Maximum Effort was involved with Gwyneth Paltrow doing her little PR thing for Astronomer, and then today, 2 days later, have an article come out about Blake Lively wanting to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow? Girl, they're using you, Gwyneth, okay? Goop it up, because they are using you right now. And if that article wouldn't have come out about Maximum Effort with Gwyneth Paltrow, do you know, in the Astronomer thing, like, he wasn't the one that, like, did it, because, you know, he needs to always get all of his accolades. He can't do anything in silence. Can't help anyone. Can't do anything in silence. Everything needs to be known. But if that article hadn't come out and we didn't know that Maximum Effort was behind Gwyneth Paltrow, then this, yes, still would have been icky and weird. But now I just see it that, like, y'all just attach yourself and cling onto anything that you can. And to me, it's like screaming desperate. It's screaming desperate. And I'm so sorry. Blake, your time to come back isn't now. Okay? Your time is not happening, babes. You're in the middle of a tornado, and it's not looking good for you. Okay? So it's weird, and she did give a few quotes on this, which, let's just read them. And you're like, okay, listen to this quote from Blake Lively. And this is in the midst of subpoenaing over 40 women content creators. Okay? This is after, now, in the middle of attacking over 40 DV survivors, women content creators, okay? People who just didn't like her, right? Mostly women. There obviously are exceptions, a couple of guys in there. But this is her quote. "I'm always the first person to defend Gwyneth Paltrow or any woman in a position of power like Martha Stewart or Oprah who gets burned, because they have paved the way for so many other women who are doing something they believe in." Guess what? The content creators who you subpoenaed, who you're putting through emotional distress, you're costing them tons of financial money. You're like, I mean, it's just so bonkers that literally this week, after being called out for bullying women, can come out and say that you are going to stand up for women. But I guess only women in positions of power. Right? So maybe what everyone else is just beneath you. The other women who you are actively bullying and silencing right now and attacking for no apparent reason. Some of whom only had one subscriber on YouTube at the time and you subpoenaed. Yeah. Okay. So I guess they don't have any power to you. So you're not going to stand up for them. But this is the thing that gets me. And so many other women who are doing something they believe in. Well, guess what? All of the content creators who you are dragging into this to try to prove something that never existed, they believe in something too. And they believe that you're a liar, liar, pants on fire. And you're making it worse and worse and worse for yourself. And then she says, "I'm sure there will be plenty of people who will say horrible things. I'm sure this interview will be picked apart. But you can't worry about it. There have been so many things written about me that are untrue and horrifying. I can't even believe that my family has to read this stuff." Like what? Do you know, I've watched a lot of Blake Lively stuff since last August, okay? Didn't know who she was before this. Knew her just from like the Met Galas and being Ryan Reynolds' wife, truly. Didn't really know anything else about it. I actually didn't follow Hollywood or any celebs or stars really, unless they were like inspiring, motivating. I love their work, et cetera, but like drama, Met Galas, things like that wasn't really like part of the deal. But if she's saying here, but you can't worry about it, you can't worry about the things that people are saying about you, then why are you still subpoenaing over 40 content creators over your hurt feelings? And all of the things that I have seen personally are all been from things that are already out. No lies have been told. Like, I'm sure some people have exaggerated the truth, you know, this stretched some of the imagination, But most of the content that I've seen regarding Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were either videos from Justin Baldoni himself within the last 15 years or videos of Blake Lively doing interviews and behind the scenes and press tours from the last 15 years. So, you know, that's weird. It's weird. Untrue is a stretch, I would say, because I think everything is true and then people just give their honest feedback and opinions on the things that are true that came out of your mouth and by your own actions. And this is one that just made me like chuckle a little bit, because then of course you can't just interview Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds needs to be there. Classic. And he says clearly, or it quotes, "Clearly, Ryan Reynolds' wife knows the score when it comes to handling public opinion. She's not one to let the naysayers rain on her parade." And Ryan Reynolds quotes, "People like to gossip. They bond over it. They don't bond over complimenting famous people." What is you talking about, ho? Is you okay? Lots of people like to talk positively about good things happening, about famous people, about work that inspires them, about movies coming out. I mean, I do that still too, you know, in my shorts and on the videos. So it's like, no, you guys can't just like back out of this to just be like, oh, we're just gossipers, we're just this, you know, and then to even say, she knows the score when it comes to handling public opinions. Yeah, you know how she handles it? You get a subpoena, and you get a subpoena, and you get a subpoena, and you get a subpoena. She's not one to let the naysayers rain on her parade. That's interesting. How about y'all turn your comments back on then, huh? And let it rain. Let it rain on your little parade. You cannot convince me that this move by Maximum Effort to hire Gwyneth Paltrow was not then a move in order for them to do an article for Blake Lively to state that she wants to be the next Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow all of a sudden this week, twice attached to Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? Ew, desperate, gross. How about y'all just stay out of it? Stay out of things right now. Focus on your freaking trial. Focus on your lawsuits. Like, what's going on in your head? I just don't know what kind of reality certain people live in, because anyway, let's move on. Also, tomorrow is supposed to be Depo Day. Depo for the Nepo. Depo for the Nepo. Yeah, tomorrow's supposed to be Depo Day for the Nepo Blake Lively. Deposition Day. We shall see, because now it's being reported. I haven't seen it in the court dockets, any official filings, nothing from any like sources on either camp so far, but it is being reported that Blake Lively will be extending her date of deposition yet again. So now, if she doesn't sit her butt in that chair tomorrow, this will be the 4th time it's been extended. Come on.
Question you want to get her under oath on.
State your name. I want to see if she shows up.
And once she does, what do you do after that?
I'm going to ask her questions on her penalty of perjury, and she's going to have to provide evidence, and she's going to have to provide the truth of the stories. And we have all the videotape, we have all the footage, we have, the text messages, and we have emails, and we're going to see how consistent her testimony is with the actual facts of what transpired.
We just want to see if she's going to show up. Just like Brian Freeman, is she going to show up? It's not looking like it. And let's just go back to what Blake Lively's team said after that TMZ thing where he was like, I'm going to ask her name because I want to see if she's just going to show up. They said, of course she's going to testify. Lively's attorney, Mike Gottlieb, told People in May, the ultimate moment for a plaintiff's story to be told is at trial. We expect that to be the case here. Babes, how are you going to sit down in court if you can't even sit your butt down for a deposition? And let's not forget this juicy quote that they kept trying to feed us over and over and over by Blake Lively being the voice of women. After the court tossed Baldoni's $400 million countersuit, Lively responded in a public statement saying she'd experienced the pain of a retaliatory lawsuit and was more resolved than ever to defend every woman's right to have a voice. But not the voices of us, not the voices of content creators, not the voices who are unfavorable to her, not the voices who are seeing the lies that she told in public filings. Not those voices. But every other woman's right to have a voice. But yet, babes, you can't even use your own voice. Why are you not sitting down in deposition and fighting for your right? Telling the truth, saying what happened. Yeah. Because maybe there was a lot of lies. Maybe because you weren't telling the truth. Maybe because you kind of made it all up. Maybe because you thought after the New York Times story, it was all going to go away. And Justin and Wayfair and all of those people were just going to be blackballed and no one would support them. And all the Swifties were going to come running to you and your aid. And everyone was just going to believe every single thing that you said. And because Justin and Jamie catered to your every need and acted like a little bit like scaredy cats of you, that they were just going to go run and hide and they were going to be forever gone. Man, oh man, were you wrong. Let's get into the court filings because there is just a lot going on. We're going to briefly discuss all of them and yeah, let's go. This is just getting so bonkers. It's so cray-cray. Let's talk first about Popcorn Planet. Yes, he did. He filed his motion to quash in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Florida, Tampa Division. It's clearly written why he did it in Tampa because he is a resident of Tampa. That's where his business is. And it is really good. I mean, he didn't go after Blake the way other content creators did it. I feel like he kept it very professional, really down to the law, really talking about how this, is against his amendments as a journalist and explains why, but doesn't really take any shots at Blake for, all of the stuff that she's done, which has been crazy. Just, very professional, I would say, in my opinion, and just to the point of the law. He didn't need to go there. We already know what's up. He's just fighting strictly from the Constitution. And I think it was super well written, and let's talk about it. Popcorn Planet, which is located in Tampa, Florida, is a non-party to this action. And this is everything that they're asking from these subpoenas. I mean, I don't know if it's the same from when they just just subpoenaed all of X and all of Google and everything, all of YouTube. But his is asking for a lot. I mean, they're all asking for a lot. But this, I thought, is just it's so much stuff and it's super overbroad. It's really vague. I mean, asking for all communications is what if I would have emailed Popcorn Planet about an article or something, and it's just things like that, or all of the guests that he has on his show. I'm sure they have sort of agreements and contracts that they talk about appearing and how he can use this likeness and edit them however they want. So they want every single agreement. It's bananas. But all documents and communications reflecting or concerning any statements or drafts provided to you by any of the Wayfair defendants or their counsel. All documents and communications concerning any agreements, draft or final, you have with anyone, including but not limited to counsel for the Wayfair parties. That's what got me, where I was like, that's nuts. That what any agreement that you have with anybody, but not only just the Wayfair people, that were effective at any point from May 1st through the present, without regard to the date of drafting or execution, concerning the consolidated action, Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, and I've highlighted in red every time they say Mr. Reynolds because he is not a party in this case anymore. He's not a party. So why do you still need information? Why is he here? Why do you still need information about Ryan Reynolds when he's not even part of this? To me, that irritates me a lot, especially since it's only Blake Lively now in the lawsuit. So the fact that her husband keeps coming in, mind your business, go home, go do something, stop. All agreements, draft or final, you have with anyone, including but not limited to counsel for the Wayfair parties that were effective from May 1st through now, again with Mr. Reynolds' name. All documents and communications regarding your digital online content creator, influencer services, or strategy concerning the consolidated action, Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, and Wayfair defendant, the digital campaign, the marketing plan, the filming connection with or on behalf of the Wayfair defendants or their counsel. All documents and communications concerning any statements, talking points, scripts, theories, assertions, questions, advertisements, claims, or similar, including preparation, revision, and timing of publication thereof concerning the consolidated action. Again, for Ms. Lively and Mr. Reynolds. This is nuts because we do so much research before we make a video. There's so many drafts. You write out so many things, like their theories, scripts. You know, some people, I mean, everyone does it kind of different how they do it, but they want everything, even questions that they had. What is going on? It's so nuts. All documents and communications reflecting or concerning any payment, gift, or favor related to or resulting from any formal or informal agreement or understanding with any of the Wayfarer defendants or their counsel. All documents and communications between you and your Wayfarer defendant, their counsel, or anyone on their behalf concerning Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the digital campaign, the marketing plan, the film, the consolidated action. Accordingly, the subpoena should be quashed by this court. The subpoena impermissibly seeks disclosure of privileged materials. Further, the court of the district where compliance is required must enforce this duty and impose an appropriate sanction, which may include lost earnings and reasonable attorney fees on a party or attorneys who fails to comply. So the reason why he's able to file this in Florida, again, is because he lives there, his business is from there, and that is where compliance, the state of compliance, is supposed to happen. So they filed there. I find that very interesting because the Wayfarer Council, Brian Freeman, the Freeman, Liner, and Tillman LLP Cooley, they also filed in California. So they were subpoenaed in California. They filed a motion to quash. Yes, Blake Lively also is subpoenaing the opposing counsel. They filed motions to quash, of course, work product doctrine, attorney-client privilege. I mean, let's go, right? It's like now she thinks that Brian Freeman, as well as his entire law firm, is part of this untraceable smear campaign. And the judge in California wiped his hands of it. He was like, nah, I'm not dealing with this. There's already so much going on in the District of New York. So y'all just need to go and talk to Judge Lyman because it's too messy for me. So we'll see if Andy from Popcorn Planet, you know, if the same thing happens to him, or maybe Florida will be a little bit more forgiving and help him out here. But like the council, like lawyers, like Brian Freeman is going through this right now in California. It just got moved back to New York. As outlined below, the subpoena served upon Popcorn Planet impermissibly seeks materials that are protected from disclosure under 3 independent categories of reporter's privilege, explicitly recognized by Florida courts. The Florida's reporter's privilege. This is a very interesting story if you want to know kind of like where this all came from. I thought this was a very good read. It was very insightful as, you know, a Canadian. It was really good. The reporter's privilege, as it has come to be known throughout this nation, traces its origins to the colonial period prior to the drafting of the Constitution. In 1722, James Franklin, a journalist for the New England Courant, was arrested and imprisoned for refusing to disclose the source of a controversial story that was printed in his newspaper. During his imprisonment, control of the newspaper fell to James's younger brother, Benjamin Franklin, who was only 16 years old at the time. Benjamin, who would later play a crucial role in the formation of the Constitution, and in particular the drafting of the First Amendment, guarantees of free speech and of a free press, authored a number of articles criticizing his brother's imprisonment as a tyrannical attack on press freedom and boldly championing free speech and a press of essential to free governments. The experience of witnessing his brother's imprisonment for refusing to disclose a source inspired the young Benjamin Franklin to publish these immortal words: "Whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech." This event undoubtedly served as the impetus for the specific inclusion of freedom of speech and of the press among the very first rights guaranteed by our Constitution's Bill of Rights. Now, more than ever, 2 centuries later, the protection of confidential sources is recognized as fundamental to Florida's public policy and extends protections to the press under 3 distinct legal doctrines. 1, Florida common law. 2, Florida statutory shield law. And 3, the First Amendment as applied by the 11th Circuit and Florida courts. It then provides exactly what the definitions are for this section of journalist privilege, and it's news means any information of public concern relating to local, statewide, national, or worldwide issues or events. Professional journalist means a person regularly engaged in collecting, photographing, recording, writing, editing, reporting, or publishing news for gain or livelihood, who obtained the information sought while working as a salaried employee of or independent contractor for a newspaper, news journal, news agency, press association, wire service, radio or television station, network, or news magazine. Privilege. A professional journalist has a qualified privilege not to be a witness concerning and not to disclose the information, including the identity of any source that the professional journalist has obtained while actively gathering news. A party seeking to overcome this privilege must make a clear and specific showing that the information is relevant and material to unresolved issues that have been raised in the proceeding for which the information is sought. The information cannot be obtained from alternate sources, and a compelling interest exists for requiring disclosure of the information. Disclosure. A court shall order disclosure pursuant to the subsection only of that portion of the information for which the showing under subsection has been made, and shall support such order with clear and specific findings made after a hearing. Waiver. A professional journalist does not waive the privilege by publishing or broadcasting information. And then it does go into the First Amendment privilege. Of course, the 11th Circuit also acknowledges that its First Amendment-based privilege protecting reporters' confidential sources. To overcome this privilege, the requesting party must provide substantial evidence that the challenged statement was published and is both factually untrue and defamatory. 2, that reasonable efforts to discover the information from alternate sources have been made and that no other reasonable source is available. And 3, that knowledge of the identity of the informant is necessary to proper preparation and presentation of the case. And then it does go into he is entitled to invoke the reporter's privilege. And I thought it would just be funsy to read this because, like, let's go, let's gas some people up. He's been in the game for a long time. And this was like, it was just cool to like read his little like resume, and yeah, let's celebrate success as well while we're here. This is an argument to show that he is a journalist, like an actual journalist in this field, and can invoke that right. So it does go into that. Additionally, Mr. Signor is a person of considerable notoriety in the entertainment and media industries, with extensive experience and accomplishments in these industries. An early pioneer in the online space, Mr. Signor worked as a head of digital programming for high-level talent agencies such as The Collective, Beverly Hills, and media companies such as Disney.com, Break Media, and Defy Media to bridge talent and traditional programming onto the internet. As the senior VP of programming at Defy Media, he created, wrote for, and hosted numerous entertainment news channels, including Screen Junkies, which has 6.8 million subscribers, and Clever TV, which has 2.3 million subscribers. His biting, critical entertainment analysis garnered him numerous accolades, including awards from MTV, Variety, along with Streamy and Webby Awards, and 2 Primetime Emmy nominations. Okay, Andy. He has appeared as a news commentator on various television news networks, including CNN and Fox News, as well as a reoccurring guest on various programs such as Piers Morgan Uncensored and Netflix docuseries. He has also hosted massive celebrity-driven panels across the country, including world-famous San Diego Comic-Con, that has garnered headlines. Mr. Signor's independent news coverage for Popcorn Planet truly exploded during the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, garnering millions of daily views and international recognition. Mr. Signor's news coverage for Popcorn Planet has continued to steadily gain notoriety and recognition all the way through the Sean Diddy Combs trial and now the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni trial. To date, the Popcorn Planet's entertainment news videos published on its YouTube channel has received more than 360 million total views. That's what I'm talking about. With nearly 1 million subscribers, Popcorn Planet has become one of the most popular entertainment news outlets on the internet and is among elite company in approaching the 1 million subscriber benchmark, rivaling and in some cases surpassing industry stalwarts such as TMZ, E! News, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly, The Hollywood Reporter, Perez Hilton, and Rolling Stone. The fact that Popcorn Planet publishes its news content exclusively online in no way disqualifies it or its employed journalists from protection under the privilege statute. And then he just talks about how Blake Lively cannot meet her burden, and that this memorandum will nevertheless demonstrate that Respondent Lively just cannot do that. Specifically, even assuming arguendo that Respondent Lively could establish the first element of the three-part test under which of these three privilege doctrines discussed above, it is undeniable that she cannot overcome the other two elements, that is, information is not available from other sources, and that there is a compelling need for disclosure. And it's true, the requested information that she's asking for can clearly come from the Wayfair people, Jen Abel, like any of their parties, if it were true, like if anything that happened, right? The second element of the test has been strictly interpreted by Florida courts. In fact, courts have required the requesting party to explore more than 100 possible alternate sources before compelling disclosure of confidential source information, meaning that she hasn't exhausted all of her resources yet to then come and put this burden on a third party. She hasn't done anything. She just filed the subpoena. And this is at the tail end of fact discovery that she's now subpoenaing all these people and clawing at stuff, because I really think she didn't get anything. I don't think that she was able to find anything, and she's still going on with this whole smear campaign. And then he states, and I thought this was quite interesting, if they didn't get the information from Wayfair or press it from Wayfair or really like demand these papers and these documents from the Wayfair people, why not? You should have really fought them first for everything that you're asking for. And he says, furthermore, the fact that Respondent Lively has apparently declined to seek the requested information from the party defendants negates a finding that there is a compelling need for the information, the third prong of the test. If the requested information was so critical to Respondent Lively's case, it is only reasonable to expect that she would have focused her time, attention, and court resources on obtaining it from the party defendants, rather than waiting until the tail end of the discovery period to burden a non-party's news entity with what can fairly be described as a textbook fishing expedition. And he's right. He's saying that all of the 7 things that they're asking for from me is about Wayfair and about communications with them. Therefore, you should be able to go to Wayfair and ask for whatever you're looking for. So he's like, no, the subpoena should be quashed in its entirety. Popcorn Planet respectfully requests this court grant this motion, quash the subpoena, and award Popcorn Planet its reasonable attorney fees incurred in preparing and filing this motion as provided by Rule 45D. Yes, sir. Blake Lively, get your sunscreen, get your lawyers. Y'all are headed down to Florida, okay? You're going to have court cases and subpoenas and motions in every court, in every court. You know what I mean? But get your sunscreen ready, girl, because it's going down. Also filed was another motion to quash the subpoena. This was filed anonymously by Jane Doe, but it's pretty much the entire everything they're saying is exactly what everyone has been saying. You know, it doesn't make any sense. They are not parties in this action. So these subpoenas are just nuts. The things that they're asking for is wild. And as we all know, Perez Hilton, yes, has also been subpoenaed. That was like a separate subpoena. He wasn't lumped in with all like the YouTube da-da-da-da-da. So he was like, that's cool. I'm going to file a motion to quash, whatever. But I want a protective order. I don't want my information out there. I don't want my phone number, my address, et cetera, et cetera. And as we've seen, even when I'm reading the filing, sometimes I'm like, whoa, that's an address. What's going on here? Like, I don't want to share people's information either when we share all of these court dockets. So I think for him, especially since he's such a huge public figure, which comes with a ton of hate, as well as a ton of love, but you know, the internet be interneting sometimes, and some people just take it too far. Okay, some people can't separate reality and the internet, right? So he's been asking for a protective order. Well, the judge denied his ask for a protective order, and it is so bananas what the judge had to say. It's kind of like a catch-22. I was like in awe. And like not in a good way, because Perez, you know, has children. He also has his elderly mom that lives there. So he cannot have his address leaked. I already know that would be so bad. And as we know now, this court, as well as Blake Lively's team, has doxed and leaked a lot of people's information, including medical records, including addresses, including contact information. Okay. So the judge writes to him after him requesting like, hey, I want a protective order on the things that I'm filing. The judge writes, non-party Mario Armando Lavandlia Jr., Perez Hilton, also known publicly as Perez Hilton, moves for an order to seal or redact any personally identifying information from the public docket. That makes sense, right? Like, I don't know who would argue that that's not okay. Like, of course that should be okay. Then he says, the court has already taken measures to protect the privacy of third parties in this matter. On March 31st, 2025, the court entered a protective order. That was one of the first conference calls that you could have went into. That's where Leslie Sloan was able to fight for all the PR stuff to be protective order and attorney eyes only. Now Blake's, was saying, oh, well, Melissa Nathan shouldn't be able to have this protective eyes only. You fought for that. Your people fought for that. And they did. They did put in this big protective order, attorney eyes only, as well as confidential. And he goes into everything that that's supposed to do and how, it's not going to go out there. It's confidential. He quotes all of the stuff from the court. And then he says, Perez Hilton seeks to ensure that his personal information is not disclosed publicly on the court's docket. However, he has not identified a specific need for the court to take an action that has not already taken. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, trust us, but if we break it, then come back and ask us to seal it. It's like, what? Like, it's a catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Perez Hilton does not identify any of his personal information that is currently on the public docket, so there is nothing for the court to seal or redact at this time. As to the future, the privacy protections discussed above are already in place, but we already know that those privacy protections didn't work for everyone. But that's okay, because Perez came back. He came back yesterday, 2 days after the judge filed that letter, and he was like, no. Let's get into it, okay? Upon examining other filings in this court, I am not alone in being targeted. Plaintiff Blake Lively is on a fishing expedition and is seeking to harass and intimidate her critics, resulting in many creators having to spend countless hours and thousands of dollars to respond to these legally unfounded subpoenas. A self-proclaimed champion of women, Miss Lively has targeted mostly women in this shameful attempt at chilling protected speech, even targeting victims of domestic violence. Creators have informed you that they are still afraid of abusive discovery practices by Ezra Hudson, and Mike Gottlieb, chief counsel for Lively. Yeah, because they are going to go lengths, as they've proven already. These lawyers, gross, oh my God. But it speaks to the client too, right? They're all unethical, they're all immoral. So far, this court has shown little interest in protecting non-parties to this litigation. Your Honor has dismissed my legitimate safety concerns. It is not my job or responsibility to inform you of this, but as of today, this court's docket is still sharing what is believed to be the home addresses of Matthew Mitchell and Cynthia Barnes-Slater, neither of whom are defendants in this litigation, nor is their exact location of interest to the greater public good. As of July 29th, both of the below links are live on your docket and reveal to the world who is closely watching every filing in this case information that could lead to harassment or physical harm of these non-parties. Then he puts in those dockets. The same could have happened to me, a public figure with minor children living at home, and Your Honor showed little care. These threats are not merely hypothetical, they are very real. In May of 2025, a deranged criminal set a fire at the home of one of defendants, Steve Saretz, and threatened to kidnap his daughter. Police revealed that a text message read, "If you fail to comply, we will take," daughter's name, "hostage and she won't make graduation. At that point, we will ask for more money. If you guys are prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family, we are sure you can spare a few of yours for your daughter." That happened. The threat is very real, okay? Some people, they're not okay upstairs. They need some help. They need to sit on a couch, They just need a little bit of medicine, maybe. I don't know. Doctors, therapy. But some people aren't okay, and this really happened to Steve Saretz. It was awful. And you know who had little to say about that? I mean, nothing to say about that violence. Nothing to say about kidnapping children. Yeah, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So it's funny that they can go around and cry victim when people are saying things about them. But then when real harm is being done, they don't have a shred, an ounce of conviction or love or empathy in their hearts to say something, to talk to these followers, these subscribers, these fans, these stans of theirs, and tell them like, hey, we actually don't support violence. Like, we're going to fight it the legal way or whatever, but please don't choose violence. Yeah, nothing. They had nothing. Classic. He goes into the legal standard, of course, of like why he deserves this protective order. And then it says, in the conclusion, for the foregoing reasons, I respectfully request that this court issue a protective order requiring plaintiffs to seek leave of court before serving any further subpoenas on non-parties in this case. And then filed this morning, Judge Lyman. I mean, congratulations, Perez Hilton and all of the content creators, because I think maybe the judge is like waking up maybe, or is like going to take this a little bit more seriously. But thank you so much, Perez Hilton. And this is a huge win for him because now he did file a letter in the court today. This was filed this morning on July 30th, and it's from Judge Lyman. It says, any response to the motion for a protective order by Perez Hilton, Mario, at docket number 510 shall be filed by August 5th. So like Blake and your people, if you file a letter in opposition for a protective order, that's crazy. That's just crazy. That will probably be one of the craziest. I mean, at this point, I don't know. You're just like topping all of the crazy. So I don't know. But that would be crazy if you filed a letter in opposition to not have him have a protective order over his disclosure. Judge Lyman also put in another order, and this was for the content creators Lynette, I can't say your name right, I'm so sorry, Keshishian. I heard this morning that she had her subpoena withdrawn. She got an email, as well as the non-party Jane Doe. They both filed motions to quash, and we will see. And what's so funny is the Jane Doe's account is Swiftie Forever Ever. Like, girl, you're going after Swifties? Are you that heartbroken over your friendship ending with your bestie, which is your own fault? Well, apparently, from what I think anyway. But like, you're going after a Swiftie Forever Ever? That's kind of crazy. And I think it's kind of nuts that she also, I'm just thinking about this now. So sorry that I have this up here. I'm just thinking about it now. But she's like a non-party Jane Doe. And then they give her X account information, which is like, if people, I don't know, if people wanted to, couldn't they try to track her down, her IP, all of that stuff? Like, you have hackers and whatever. I haven't checked her account yet, so I don't know if she's like posting about it or whatever. But I just saw the username and I was like, girl, you're going after a Swiftie? You must be crazy. Now he's giving them until August 4th for any motions of opposition to these motions to quash. And we already know that one of them already has been withdrawn. So it seems like as soon as you stand up to Blake Lively, as soon as you stand up to this bully, she withdraws the subpoena because it shouldn't have been served in the first place. And she knows it. And her counsel freaking knows it. And last but not least, but I think it is the best and juiciest and a good way to wrap all these court dockets off. And this was filed by Lauren, and it's just really good. Okay, I mean, it kind of sums up everything that everyone's thinking and speaks for the content creators that filed the motions to quash, as well as how he just denied them all as moot because Blake Lively withdrew her subpoena. So now they can't ask for like legal fees, sanctions, or a protective order because they no longer exist. Ugh, if that's not an abuse of the system, I don't know what is. But she writes, non-party movement, Lauren Neidigh, writes in reply to plaintiff Blake Lively's response for a motion to quash subpoena for a protective order. Movement was notified via email that Miss Lively has withdrawn the subpoena as to Movement's account. This reply is necessary to address the issues that have not been rendered mute by Miss Lively's withdrawal or her responses to Movement's motion, including requests for sanctions and a protective order. Miss Lively's subpoena targeted creators who have expressed unfavorable opinions about her online. The subpoena was not supported by any evidence. It served to intimidate, harass, chill constitutionally protected free speech, and threaten the safety and privacy of non-parties who are not involved in this litigation. Miss Lively's counsel was largely unresponsive when Movent attempted to meet and confer or ask for clarification. Ms. Lively could not offer an explanation as to why Movent's location, data, bank account information, or credit card numbers, among other random private information, were relevant to Ms. Lively's litigation. In Ms. Lively's July 26, 2025 response to Movent's motion, counsel wrote, based on the third party's representations made in meet and confer, public statements, and or information provided in their moving papers, there is no further information required from the subpoenas as to these specific third parties at this time. Aside from 2 brief and fruitless attempts at scheduling, Ms. Lively's counsel was unresponsive to Movent's for long periods of time. No meet and confer occurred. Movent did not provide Ms. Lively's counsel with any of the information sought by the invasive subpoena. Ms. Lively's statement that there is no further requirement at this time, coupled with the fact that they did not receive any of the information sought, suggests that there may be further invasive and inappropriate discovery attempts made to obtain Movent's personal information and private data that is completely irrelevant to this litigation. Ms. Lively's response to Movent's motion states, Ms. Lively's subpoenas were one part of the discovery process aimed at gathering information to link the Wayfair party's activities to sources through YouTube and X content creator accounts. This is not a reasonable basis for Ms. Lively to demand Movent's private data. Movent does not have any affiliation with Melissa Nathan, Jennifer Abel, or any of the publicists who are parties to this lawsuit, or alleged to have orchestrated an untraceable smear campaign. Movent has never interacted with them at all. In fact, Movent has spoken quite unfavorably about the publicists. However, the publicists have not elected to use our country's federal court system to retaliate by demanding Movent's bank account information, location data, and credit card numbers. These requests are unfounded and designed to chill constitutionally protected speech. Right. A lot of us had issues with the publicists. Some of their texts talking about Justin Baldoni, some of their texts, it was given a little bit of like mean girl behavior, like girls on girls, but they were active, they were passionate, they were trying to do their job. But she says here, like, she has spoken unfavorably about them. She wasn't messing with them, but you don't see Tag or Jennifer Abel or any of those people suing her. No, because it's freedom of speech. To say that Movent may have been part of an untraceable campaign is also nonsensical. There is no evidence to support that theory, nor is there any truth to it. Movent's motion explains the basis of her unfavorable opinions of Ms. Lively, and it does not involve a scheme with the Wayfair parties. If Movent were somehow involved in an untraceable smear campaign, that campaign has failed, obviously, and disastrously, as Movent's thoughts and opinions are based on entirely untraceable information. And she says that she goes through, like, when you watch her videos, like, where she finds the information, it's public information. Given the ongoing threat of Ms. Lively making further abusive discovery requests for Movent's personal information and private data to intimidate Movent for her lawful expression, Movent respectfully requests that the court enter a protective order under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 26C, prohibiting Ms. Lively from issuing any further subpoenas or discovery requests directed at Movent without prior leave of court. Movent respectfully requests that the court consider the request for sanctions as outlined in the motion to quash and for a protective order, including sanctions under Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 45D1, Rule 26G, and its inherent authority. The breadth and nature of this subpoena, particularly as it targets constitutionally protective expressive activity, strongly suggests that it was issued in bad faith or for an improper purpose. There you have it. Everyone is fighting back to these subpoenas, as they should. Fight, fight, fight. These subpoenas were issued, over 40 subpoenas, and now she's withdrawn them. I mean, not all of them, of course, but it seems like you stand up to the bully and look what happens. You know, they run scaredy cats. I'm still blown away that all of this was even able to happen, but it has, and here we are. Okay, that's everything literally from the courts that have happened and everything that's in the media that I found that, it's just like so crazy, from the Gwyneth Paltrow thing to like talking about being the voice of women to then subpoenaing all of these women content creators who don't like you, who are very vocal about being survivors themselves, and especially without even doing due diligence. without even doing the work to research when they started talking about It Ends With Us, which was most of them was in January, after publicly filing your CRD complaint and Justin Baldoni filing his lawsuit, to not even do the work to know that they weren't even part of your little smear campaign that happened in August, to me is like, first of all, it's lazy, it's corrupt, and it proves that all you were trying to do is attack people that you just didn't like that they were talking about you. It's nuts. It's kind of like, well, if I'm going down, y'all are going down with me kind of thing. But that's an abuse of the court system, and it just like kind of shows you exactly who you are. Okay, so I do want to just talk about something exciting, but also just something that's on my heart as well. I know in my last video on Monday, I kind of went into a little rant. I don't even quite remember what I said, but something about, I'm sure, like a redemption arc and change and how change is possible. And even for someone like Blake Lively, and I don't see it now, but I do fully believe that like people can change. And two things can be true at once. I can think that what Blake has done here and what she's doing is monstrous, evil, corrupt, illegal, shady, mean, cruel, all of those things, and crazy, right? Like it's crazy. And also think that in the future, change is possible. And forgiveness, hopefully with self, happens, and that she's able to like somewhere find, whatever she's looking for and change, right? And I have to think like that. And I think it's okay. And when I'm doing research and watching people's videos, I also watch pro Blake as well as pro Baldoni. I like to see everything and, remove myself personally from it and, see both sides of the road. But also, since I've been researching Justin Baldoni and Wayfair and Jamie Heath and listening to a lot of their videos, I continually feel inspired by them to be better, to lead with empathy, to lead with love, to inspire, to want to create change. And so on Monday, when I was saying that about Blake, that I do think somewhere in her future there could be a redemption arc, that's just all about evolving and changing and healing. And I don't think it's going to happen before the court date. It's going to take years and years and years if she is willing and open to put in the work. What she's done here is disgusting. It's awful. She's really trying to ruin the lives of really innocent people, it looks like, in order to save face and make more millions of dollars. However, I have to think that change is possible because glass houses, right? I've changed a lot. I was very bad in my past, very mean, very cruel, very vindictive, went through a lot of trouble growing up and went through serious changes, so it would be hypocritical of me to think that other people can't change either. And I've forgiven people in my life who have done me wrong. And so I don't know. I'm just trying to learn and take some notes from Justin Baldoni and his speeches, to be honest. And I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear because we all want to stake the monster. Me too. In this case, for sure. And the monsters for sure are Blake Lively. But I also believe in humanity and healing and change. So two things can be true at once. I can think that what is happening right now with Blake and what they're doing is awful and crazy. But I could also hopefully find some light and glimpses of hope and really pray that she gets the help that she truly, truly, truly needs. With that being said, I also have I do have some exciting news that I want to share, and it kind of also goes off on Monday. On Monday, if you saw my last video, kind of towards the end, I do this little spiel thing where I leave y'all with something. And I remember I was saying I was just feeling alone in the city and, didn't know where my paths were going. And I really missed acting a lot and I wasn't getting any bookings. And then just letting that out and letting it come through me and expressing it and letting it out, I honestly felt better. And that night, Monday night, I decided, you know what? Let me go and experience life. Let me go and experience this beautiful city that I'm in. And I had such an incredible night. Honestly, let me just show you a couple of videos and pictures from that night because it was so fun. Okay, first of all, you already know your girl looked cute in a nice little summer dress. I was feeling myself. I ended up at the well, oh gosh, with a friend brought to the well. It's this new building that was built like a year or something ago in Toronto, maybe more, maybe less. And we ended up on this crazy rooftop where I was just living my best life. I had no care in the world. I literally just let go for a night and just had fun. Ended up here. Look at this view. Come on, look at this view of this city. And then The Weeknd was playing in the stadium. They had the roof open and there was fireworks. Fireworks just coming, just out of nowhere, and I love fireworks. I mean, it was just such a good night. It made me feel so good. It made me feel like, okay, you know, I was just like in a good place. I let it all out, had fun. And then yesterday I woke up and got a call back that I just had this morning. So I'm feeling a little tired and darker makeup than usual. But then got a call back and I did that today. And I was like, so funny that like Monday I was feeling like this. I explored it. I was aware of how I was feeling, where it was coming from, what I was needing in my life, steps I needed to do to kind of feel better. And I did. And I kind of just let go and just trusted that I'm enough and I'm doing what I'm doing is enough and I'm good enough and I'm just going to have fun and be a human being. And then I got a call back. So it was kind of like, what a great week so far, right? So you never know. You just never know. You just never know. You just got to keep faith and keep going. And yeah, recognize when you're not 100% and why, and kind of work on that. And I think it is really important to like not hold it in, like let it out, let it go through you, explore it, and then release it out so that you could, all of that energy that's being stored in your body, you could now replenish with good stuff. So that's my story. That's been my week so far. It's been great. I'm not going to lie. The callback went pretty good. We'll see what happens from there. But just being back in the studio again and just getting that callback, I was like, okay, you know, I'm not invisible. And then going out on a night on the town of the city like this really just like made me fall back in love with the city that I was kind of like second guessing, am I in the right place? And then I got fireworks and everything. So you never know. There's always these little signs from the universe guiding you. And yeah, it was just it's just been that was a magical night, but it's been a cool few days. So anyway, I hope you're having a good week. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday, y'all. I will be back on Friday. So drop your comments. I'll be reading some of those on Friday's episode and I'll let you know everything that happens. Let's see if there's a deposition tomorrow. Let's see what happens in the next couple of days. I think the ending of this week might be very juicy. So stay tuned for that. Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to be here and share with you and go over everything. And I hope you're having a great day. I love you so much and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.